shoes on the cruise. Country granny played the blues on the stools. Head wrap silky chewing on this oxtail. Scheming on a millie tryna hit the yacht sail. Gold shining lobster near the Everglade music. When we drop it's like you never made music. Better days never came easy to a quitter. Ain't no pump faking, let them see that I deliver. God body, baby, big 7 in the skin. Probably why you never hear no better again. Higher than the spot that we bout to set the bar. Stankin', smell it before it left the jar. I just left the coast straight to another ocean. Got excuses, me, I'm really having motion. Sipping on mimosa, chopping real estate game. 40 years later, still the same lane. Just left the hood, never heard of you. 30 long years, not a single word of you. Shop booming, baby, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been busy having motion. Just left the town, things spoke to you. You a L7, probably served to you. Shop still booming, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been really having motion. Boy, stop playing, this is not your lane. Never seen struggle, you do not know pain. Stop playing, would you be yourself? How they see you, how you see yourself. Ain't real, acting real fictitious. Family on the west probably still hit switches. Playing Sally Cell, brought the thumper in the car. I been down in Austin burning rubber down Lamar. Keep what you earn, put it back in the business. Gold mouth shorty spinning racks at the dentist. One stream need a whole 7 ways. That weaker than a whole 7 days. I've been playing chess, working on the left brain. Buzzing in my city way before the press came. Went and bought a now he think he less lame. Got the kind of gas that could fuel a jet plane. Just left the hood, never heard of you. 30 long years, not a single word of you. Shop booming, baby, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been busy having motion. Just left the town, things spoke to you. You a L7, probably served to you. Shop still booming, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been really having motion. Y'all know what time it is. Jury, what up? Lords of the land. Ain't got no minutes for you, internet. We really outdoors with it. Till infinity.
Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, DMG, the poet, aka Brother Pianki. And I just got some things on my mind. I'm gonna throw the link in the chat in a little bit. Whoever want to come in, chop it up. But before I get into my little rant or whatever you want to call it, let me do my usual greeting. Let me say God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Hotep to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earth, them 5%ers. Let me say shalom to my Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say salute to my Abo brothers and sisters. Let me say what's up to my atheist brothers and sisters. And shout out to my Rasta brothers and sisters. And last but not least, let me say Jumbo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only is because if you're Black, I'm with you, and I hope that you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting. We can't have unity without uniformity, and we can learn at some point, maybe in the far-flung future, but at some point we will figure out how to disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. All that being said, so over the past few days leading up to this weekend, me and the crew had a couple of discussions planned out, and a lot of potential ones. They hammering out this tournament for the channel and all of that, and trying to get things moving in a positive direction after a few distractions or whatever. Peace, Cap. And just trying to map some stuff out. And within setting up these conversations, a lot of things went haywire with regards to the surrounding conversations leading up to the debates, discussions, whatever you want to call it. And egos just sort of clouded everything up. And so I just said, let me go ahead and put a kibosh on all of this, because at this point, it's time for a hard reset. And people that you try to hope of be involved, you just can't necessarily have that same energy, because if it ain't a particular way, then people don't, they ain't really trying to be bothered. And so it get tiresome. And so my mans and them, they figuring some things out, but we still got some stuff on the horizon. Me and what is he, the chief musician or something like that? What's the title? I forget what it was JJ said, but he like the chief musician of the Lions Den, the one and only, the music master, Neo Love. gonna come and get some smoke from yours truly on who is the greater musical artist, Michael Jackson or Prince. He got Mike, I got Prince. And so we're gonna make it official. You know what I mean? We're gonna make it official and give y'all some actual information instead of just our opinion. So y'all can look forward to that. Some few changes on the personal front that I won't be discussing just yet, but eventually I'll probably have to, let that cat out of the bag and figure out how to affect, the upward movement of the platform. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So we got a fast rising star in Lord Benu, and he was set to take on one of the pillars of Paradigm Shift TV 314 next week. So I got to figure out if that's still gonna happen. But he was set to take on nobody from Trust and Believe the Gospel. So that was gonna be a good one because they don't remind me of each other in terms of they information, but just they energy and in terms of being just willing to talk to whoever, whenever. And that's how nobody used to be, and that's how he is now. Like, I mean, he like, hey, you got something for me? Hey, big bro, you got something? And I remember nobody was the exact same way. Like, hey man, don't nobody want the smoke? So, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. So that the old guard and the new guard type of feel to it. So, but I gotta find somebody for Cap 10K to get in the ring with. I was thinking about the brother that was on here the other day. I can't even recall his name right now. What was it? Man, if somebody can tell me the Israelite brother that was on the panel the other day, put it in the chat for me, because I'm trying to figure out what was his name. What was it? Let me see if I can find it on Facebook. I'm tripping. Man, this is gonna bother me for the rest of the night, and I gotta move around. Zahara Bell, I think is how you say it. I think him and Kappa have an interesting conversation. So we'll see if we can work that out. But yeah, it just, some people ain't built for like YouTube discussions in terms of it not being at a certain criteria, and other people, if it's too high a criteria, so it ain't a middle ground, so to speak. And so you just have to switch it up and figure out, what's the best fit. So it is what it is. But I think Cap said he was about to jump on. It feel like Cap ain't been on here in a minute, so I'm gonna stick around and see what Cap got going on. But yeah, seem like me and Cap. I should say me and Cap ain't been in the same on the same joint in a minute. But real quick, I want to tell y'all, for those who watching, we got a new channel. It's called Paradigm Shift TV 314 Raw. And it's just basically the same as it always been over here, with just a little more of the raw energy that don't quite fit over here. At this time, where we trying to, push the quality of the content up to a certain level. Over on the Raw channel, you can get a little more energetic, so to speak. But we'll definitely be doing some things over there. Well, show. Particularly like the tournament is coming up. So shout outs to all those, and make sure we got that so, but yeah, in the GT I ended up figuring it out. But in fact, let me send him the link. But yeah, I conversation. We'll see what what's going. Well, how we can work that out. Yeah, you say I'm breaking up. Yeah, it's doing that that unstable thing right now that it be doing sometimes. So hold up.
Subscribe now.
Okay, I think I'm back in business, but yeah, if y'all still on, nobody, I think you and Lord Benu might have a closer conversation than people might be expecting. Let me say that, because the brother. The brother is fine tuning his he fine tuning his material, so to speak. So I think you're gonna have a bit more of a difficult conversation than you think. Captain K in the building. Like the brother ain't did a stream with me, and I don't know how long. I don't know what it is. I came down to the school, bought the man a bottle, and it seemed like ever since I did that, the man been avoiding me. Was the bottle not everything I thought it was? Or what?
Hey, hold up. Don't do it. Hey, no, hey, you know you my brother. You understand? See, hey, you already know. Boy, I've been busy as man. You would not believe. I'm talking about. We trying to retire this year. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I remember.
Yeah. So yeah. So I've been man. Look at here. Whew, we getting closer and closer, baby. So yeah, we've been working on that like crazy. Yeah. But no, I ain't forgot my brother, man. Look at here. Yeah, we finna do the to the hallway. We about to do that show in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, the podcast. Yeah, we roll.
Yeah, I've been dropping the links for that Paradigm Shift Raw, and well, I haven't dropped the links yet. I just got done talking about it, but I'm gonna make sure I start getting the word out. And
Okay.
if you notifications, I made you the manager of that channel on YouTube.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, the water, brother. I appreciate that.
all good.
That's what I'm talking about, brother. Give a nigga a management position. You know what I'm saying? I ain't flipping fries. You don't hire me to flip fries. My man turn around and make me the manager. That's what I'm talking about. Boy, I work for you any day.
That's what's up.
All right, so
So
who wants the smoke? What they talking about?
what it is, everybody say they want the smoke, but what they really want is a certain kind of smoke. So like
Oh,
if person giving the smoke is not of a certain level or criteria, then I don't know if they worthy for my smoke. Cause even though they giving off smoke just like everybody else, if they that much less than you, you can just annihilate them like, just the snap of a finger. You can Thanos these cats, but it'll be a quick little display. But that ain't how it works. So now, hey, look, Cap, you done brought the other pillar up on the stage. So look, he say, look, that pillar can't be up there if I ain't up there. We got nobody.
That's exactly what I said too in my head. I was like, Cap can't be up there. I ain't up there, man. What up, Cap, man?
hey, what's up? What's up, nobody? Shalom, brother.
Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, same here, bro. Yeah, I had to come through. I'm saying, damn, the smoke. Somebody want some smoke? I had to come see what they were talking about.
I'm gonna have to figure out something, man, to get y'all to have one of y'all classic conversations. Y'all ain't had one in a while, so I gotta get y'all gotta get y'all quota in.
But,
ain't no man Cap legends over here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we the only three that put together a show.
Yeah.
right.
Everybody else be scared.
Exactly.
They'll talk their talk in the beginning, but then, oh no, I don't want to talk to him. Right, like you said, a certain kind of smoke.
Yeah. It gotta be a certain kind.
Certain kind. Yep.
Like that smoke. If that smoke ain't go to a certain kind of school, then I ain't trying to. or if that smoke went to a certain kind of school. It like, you know, it's a whole little spectrum of reasons why people change their mind about the smoke.
Shalom.
The smoke
Right.
ain't really smoke. And it's like, all right, if it ain't really smoke, then you really can deal with it. But
Right.
it ain't, yeah, it's easy work. But nah, it's, you know, apparently it's a such thing as too easy. But like, I mean, listen, you know how they say you can take candy from a baby? Go on, take that candy.
Snatch it, give it to me, youngin.
If it's like that, if they that much lower than you, go on, take that candy. That's all.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah, but you know, you know, it got to be a certain kind of smoke though. So,
well, I think we started out in the beginning going back and forth with each other, and the catchphrase was "Who want the smoke?" and "I am the smoke," and you know what I'm saying, and all that good stuff. So you know, it ain't little.
Right. You know,
2024, bigger and better things. You know what I'm saying? Better conversations, better quality of people to have those type of conversations. You know what I'm saying? And even for the people who do want to smoke, y'all gotta step y'all game up, man. You know, it's time to feed the people some truth, man. It's time out for the subjective conclusions. You know what I'm saying? It's time for somebody saying 1 + 1 is 2, somebody saying 1 + 1 is 3, and that person that's saying it's 2 is right, and that one that's saying 3 is wrong, and it's gonna be put on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? It's 2024, man. It's time to wake people up for real.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, you know, that whole thing about wanting to, you know, that's a nice little phrase, but it ain't necessarily, you know, it don't necessarily hold true to everybody who say it, because that, you know, it's more so, you know, I want the smoke, but I really just want to put my hand to it and get it warm, and once I get warm, I'm satisfied. As opposed, so are you really ready for Lord Benu, bro?
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be a good conversation, man. I mean, he not gonna he not gonna disprove anything, because if he do, he'll win a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's gonna be a good conversation. I know it ain't gonna end up with nobody getting cussed out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna end up. You know, it's gonna get lit. It's gonna get definitely gonna be turned up. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna end on a good note, and it's gonna be a good conversation, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's gonna be good, man.
Okay. I mean, hey, you say you ready, man. I think the brother gonna surprise you, man.
Oh no, he ain't saying that I haven't heard before. So I mean, unless he just come up with a total lie, then yeah, that'll surprise me. But based off of the information that I believe that he's already gonna be bringing, just like the people who we've chopped it up with in the past on these same topics, I don't think he's gonna bring nothing new. I haven't heard no new arguments against the Bible in over 13, 14 years. So yeah, and he's not gonna do it.
I think Lord Benu gonna bring something new to the table.
Okay. I ain't doubting the brother. I mean, just based off the topic alone, he gonna lose. But no, I ain't doubting the brother gonna maybe bring something new. You know what I'm saying? I know it's gonna be a good conversation. I mean, he ain't got no chance on winning the conversation, but it's gonna be a good conversation.
And why you say based on the topic alone he gonna lose?
Yeah, because he ain't gonna be able to prove it. He ain't gonna be able to show that transmission, man. And when he's not able to, he can bring up all the stories he wants.
How much you want to bet? Or are you a betting man?
Not really, but what's up?
How much would you bet your world heavyweight title that I can prove right now that Christianity comes from an older religion?
Oh, nah, I wouldn't say that because we know that Christianity is a continuation of Judaism. All the good stuff that is told in the Old Testament and Torah. So, nah, I wouldn't say that. He gonna have to come better than that. He got to come better than that, man.
No, that was mine.
I know. I'm messing with him if you listen. I'm pretty sure he's probably out there listening.
Right. Yeah, I think he's gonna try to come, way better than that. But
I already know. Now, I've been chopping up with the brother a few times. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he like I said, I don't think he's no idiot or nothing at all, man. We done had a whole bunch of good conversations in the back chats, you know what I'm saying, on Messenger and all that good stuff, man. I like the young brother, bro. You know what I'm saying? He need to come back to Christ. He need to come to Christ, but I like him overall, man. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a cool dude, man.
That's what's up. So I think now that he got, that was his first debate that the last one he had. So
yeah,
I think now that he got that out of the way and under his belt, so to speak, I think he'll be better prepared for the next conversation.
Right, practice makes perfect, man. Sure, I remember my first, what we call debates and stuff and all that, being nervous and seeing if I done it right and did it right and all that. So to know that was his first debate, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I get it.
Man, you ain't gotta hesitate to call it a debate, man. It's a debate. It's our style debate.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Shoot. Like you said earlier, all the debates that me and Captain Titan had type of deal. Yeah, I consider them debates too. So that's what it is.
Hey, yeah, for a while, it looked like y'all was having one like almost every month for a minute.
Right. And I think he's gone now. And I beat him every single time. Where you go, Cap? Where you go, Cap?
Oh, you gonna say that behind his back? Wow.
I just looked up at the phone, like, where Cap go?
Wow. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Now, I will say this though: if we go look at the community page, I'm undefeated. I'm undefeated, and I'm talking my when I do the what you call it, the poll.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy. I don't even know if landslide is strong enough a word. So I just want to make sure I put that out there.
I mean, people come to the channel to see you. You know what I'm saying? I would like to say that you ain't never lost a debate because it is a cult of personality. Like Mussolini and all that good stuff.
Wow. This dude broke out with the cult of personality.
Bro, I just found out recently that I've been singing that song for years and years and years. I just found out recently that it was black people that made that song, bro.
You ain't know that?
I didn't know that, bro. Well, I just found it out.
Wow.
Me, I didn't know that. Right. I ain't never thought to look it up. It just sounded white to me. A white dude came out with it. So man, I thought it went hard, which you already know. You know what I'm saying? I thought like one of my top 3 songs or whatever. I used to get up in the morning and listen to that mud every day just to start my day, but I never looked up the artist and saw who actually wrote it, or performed it. You know, I thought it was a white dude, man.
That's what I always end up doing is looking up who who made it, or because I listen to it or something, it'll come up or as a suggestion, and then I look at the video and be like, "What? Oh, for real?" Okay. You know, that type.
Nah, that's lit though, man. You know, it just, especially as a music artist, you know, myself, at least formally, you know, it just, you know, make you want to go outside the box even more when you hear stuff like that you resonate with, and you know, man, you got a very unique taste for music that's so-called black men, and then to know that you can do that too, type of deal. Yeah, so that's where I come. That's where I'm coming from with. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's a lot of it's a lot of songs that I've been listening to lately that like it'll usually be by a white artist, but it ended up being a brother, and I'm like, that been happening more and more, and but it be that same type of song, but it ended up being a brother, and they be playing a lot of those songs on Power.
Yeah, sure. Even
artists, but black artists.
Even like people like Supersonic, you know, Bruno Mars and other dude, the other black dude. A lot of them songs, I thought that it was Bruno Mars, and then you watch the video, it's actually the black dude. You know what I'm saying? Killing it, like just killing them one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it happened what you said, finding out a lot of these songs, hey, black people have crossed over into these different genres, and it ain't just hip hop and R&B and neo soul, you know, type of deal. I love it.
So let me ask you this, man: what you think of JJ, Black Jesus Minister? Who else he say? Solar Mind, and I think the Source Debate League all joining up to form the ultimate debate league.
I mean, it got to be an NFL. I mean, if people gonna take this stuff seriously, man, it got to be an NFL. If people don't get it in that term, we can use wrestling. It got to be a WWE. It got to be an AEW. It got to be a TNA, man. So sure, somebody should claim a crown, and the more popular the people is on your roster, you know, the better chance you got to do it. Because if it's a dude over there who's exclusive to the Lions Den, and then another dude over there exclusive to the Source League, and you know, et cetera, then you know we will never see them debate each other. So to bring those different characters, those different personalities, and bring them all together under one umbrella, I think it's a good thing.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think as long as everybody can put they side, I think it'll be a powerful thing. But if you can't put your ego aside,
don't even get involved, man.
That's gonna be a disaster with all of those combined forces.
Nah, for real.
But if the ego aside, it's gonna.
I know JJ and Black Jesus Minister, they tried to start that last debate league, and that didn't go too well for both of them. And it was just them two. So if you're gonna put them two on the council, I don't even know who over the Source Debate League and all that. So you put them heads together, man. Who knows? I mean,
let me drop this link for Inyame if he's still there, because he's been wanting to have a conversation with you for a minute.
And y'all talking about the Hebrew brother?
Huh?
You talking about the Hebrew brother?
Inyame.
I remember the name, but where do I know him from? You know, I've been out the loop for him.
I know He actually from he participated in Solar Mind Debate League.
That's why I remember hearing the name. Yeah, the name sounds familiar. Do you know what he is? I know he's a Christian, but what is you know? The atheist.
I don't know what his
Muslim.
Yeah, I don't know what he subscribe to.
Yeah, well, I ain't gonna prejudge anyway. So, but nah, yeah, tell him what's up, man. Yeah.
Trey hilarious. He said they be crying for the smoke, and then when they finally get it, they say it's too smoky.
What up, Pastor Trey?
He said, why he say they say it's too smoky? Oh my goodness, that brought tears to my eyes, man. I needed that laugh.
Pastor Trey, what's up, Pastor?
They say it be too. I can hear him saying that.
Pastor, hit the link, man.
Man, and Yame in the building. So now you know before you say anything, I gotta play this.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Go ahead, my brother.
Peace. What's good, DMG?
Peace to the panel. How you be?
Doing good. I'm just trolling in the chat.
Oh, that's what's up. I know you have been wanting to have a conversation with nobody, so that's why I was like, let me get that link out there. Maybe we can finally get this set up.
Unless you want to do something like that. What's your nobody?
What's
Peace,
up with
nobody.
you, man? Peace to you, bro.
Everything's good. I've been trying to have that debate where I say Kemet is older than the story of Noah. Noah and his 3 sons. Anybody want to take that one?
I mean, I don't know how it was that we don't have no time and dates, but sure, it just be theory to a certain extent.
I use biblical chronology, so you can go from Adam all the way to Solomon, and it's a clear line. With the ages, all their ages. Really?
Are you talking about the James Ursher method? Like the dude who added up all the ages in the Bible until he got 6,000 years? I don't believe in that. Yeah, I don't believe in the James Ursher theory.
Oh, okay. So you don't agree that those ages are correct?
Not based off not the ages of the people that he added up. Just his conclusion of the earth and creation and all that by adding up those times by adding up those ages from Jesus all the way to Adam. I don't think that's correct. I don't think the conclusion is correct.
What about from Solomon to Noah?
Yeah, I mean, it's not conclusive on what date Noah would have been on Earth. You know what I'm saying? Now, even Moses, I mean, they still put him in, sometimes 12, sometimes 13, sometimes 1400s. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't conclusive to go all the way to Noah. Now,
right. There's about a 200, 300 year plus or minus, and I give you that. I give you that either way. It's around 2,500. It's around Noah's story is around 2,500 BC.
Now, I can argue it for just for argument's sake. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't be nothing that I'm conclusive on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because of course I do believe that Noah is older than Egypt and Canaan and stuff. Of course I do believe that, but I wouldn't. If I'm just being honest, I wouldn't have no lockdown dates to be able to battle you with. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting topic. What's up, fellas?
Oh, now that's a man right there. Coming to Egypt.
Oh, I think you might have a huckleberry.
Yeah.
You might have a huckleberry in there, man.
That's the man
Did I
that's
just
telling
did I
you.
just
Okay,
walk
yeah.
into something?
Who who want that smoke with that one?
This is my brother Najiti. So Najiti, and Yame
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
for a debate on the fact that he believes that Kemet is older than the story of Noah.
It depends on how he words that. Like, is he talking about the penmanship, like when it was written, or the actual story happening? I mean, the actual event happening. Egypt was. Is he saying that Egypt was before the actual event of Noah?
Yeah, it was before it, ran all the way through it. So what I'm saying that the story of Noah is more mythological than it is actual history.
Okay, I don't follow that line of thought. The way I see it, this is the way I see it. Looking at the three sons of Noah, we know that Ham, number one, that's the number one person right there that we ought to look at. Ham, I believe, is the eponymic patriarch of Kemet, because Kemet, the Bible calls Egypt, it calls Egypt the land of Ham. And if you look up the Hebrew name of Ham is actually Cam, where we could get Kemet. Um, there's a lot more information I can put into that, but as far as the chronology is concerned, uh, the flood would have had to have happened first, because Ham was a son of Noah. But I've heard this claim before, and this is how I try to meet on what you call a common ground.
Mm-hmm.
Ham was alive before the flood came. So in that sense, uh, we can say that Ham himself, who was the founder of Egypt, uh, was before the flood. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, you could say that. I know you guys heard Garfield always talking about a eponymous ancestor.
Yeah,
That's what Ham is, eponymous, where they
eponymic.
took a name. They took a name like Kemet, and said, "Oh, that's Ham or Kam. That's the original ancestor."
I mean, it makes sense. And I mean, think about it. That the terminology eponymic or eponymous, I mean, that's applied to, like, even today. When you go on any any hood you go to, you can go to Martin Luther King Boulevard. Martin Luther King Boulevard. Martin Luther King was a real person, and he has a street named after him. So therefore, that makes him the eponymic person upon which that street is named. Uh, our states, the United States, some countries. Uh, let me see. Let me see if I can find any other examples. I mean, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. As a matter
No,
of
no,
fact,
right. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a myth. Well, I'm saying in this case that it is, and
okay,
it
then now you will have to define what you mean by myth, because myth can be defined in several ways. If you're saying myth as something that has been perpetuated and knowingly being false, okay. But if you're saying myth, as in a sense, a particular event or events that involve natural and supernatural events that were recorded by a specific group of people, okay, I will go with you.
okay. I'm saying that Genesis is used as a group's ontology. It's ontological, saying this is how we began, this is how our culture started, and that's when they wrote the book of Genesis as an ontology. But it also was used to be antithetical to the nation of Kemet.
GT. We can't hear you, bro. It don't look like he can hear us either.
Yeah.
Najee, can you hear us? Yeah, we can't hear you. That's why I can make the argument.
I can build. I'm gonna hit him up.
Okay. Now, like I was saying, I can make the argument, like for example, some of the same stuff that he was saying about Ham and all that. I could show you why I believe that the Noah story is older than Kemet. But for me to be able to give you dates, like for example, I can go into Kemet and give you dates. You know, this was built in 2200. This was built in 3800. I could do that for Kemet, but I couldn't do that for Noah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can still argue with you because I do believe that the Noah story is older than Kemet, and like I was saying at first, I could go show when Kemet was called Kaham or Kaham spelled with Kham or Cham and stuff like that. Like I can give reasons like that, but I just can't give you no dates. You know what I'm saying? That's all I was saying.
Yeah. It's hard to be exact. I mean, we can't be exact. That's why I give a play around 200 to 300 years. I can even go up to 400, 500 years, because you can't be too accurate at that long time period. Like even for the Exodus. That's why some put it in 1200, some put it in 1400. But that's what makes it a good debate topic, because you have that little bit of play.
Right. That's why I say I can make the argument with you. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't be accurate on no date, so I wouldn't even come with them. But like I said, I can still give my reasons as to why I would believe that the Noah story is older than Kemet. You know
Right.
So do we have a dialogue or what? What we doing?
I like to take on both of them. I mean, they both can be in on it.
Oh no! We're super cool. We ain't gonna. No, if Najee want to rock, of course. We don't get Najee on here a lot. So we're definitely gonna rock with it.
I say this: Najee studies ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt. Very intently and very intensely. So I think and he has an opposing view to what I think yours would be. He goes with the alternate chronology. So I think that would have a powerful conversation.
He goes with the short one? What's the guy's name?
David. Is it David something or I can't remember the guy's name, but
yeah, I can't remember his name.
Who you talking about? David Falk?
Is it David Falk?
You talking about the white Egyptology dude?
With the alternate timeline?
Yeah, I can't remember. No.
So, I think no. David Falk is no. I know David Falk. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
Here we got GT back.
GT. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, bro.
Yeah, you're good.
So real quick before you get back into your spiel, who is the is he an archaeologist or Egyptologist? David Rowe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. David Rowe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my man's in there.
So I was telling Inyame that you and him may have a more insightful conversation than maybe him and my bro, because of how intently you study ancient Egypt.
Yeah, keep in mind I'm not an expert, but I mean I've studied for quite some time, and I think I've always been in love with Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Who hasn't? Who's not? You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Man, it's like trying to figure out what happened which pharaoh was the one that was part of the Exodus and all that. As a little kid, I mean, I just studied Egypt, and it was funny because when what's that Zeitgeist? When Zeitgeist came out talking about Horus had three kings and all this other stuff, I was like, I've never read that. I've never
Right.
seen that in any
Right.
archaeological or academic article or book, encyclopedia or nothing. I was like, where is he getting this stuff from? And
Right.
it was like a video because it sounded so convincing. I was like, I gotta look at the whole video, but the entire 1 hour 30 minutes, I was pissed because of the stuff that he was saying. I was like, but I couldn't argue against it because I didn't have uh
Enough information. Yeah. Yeah.
right. But after,
And
but
and that,
I did know this when he said Horus was born December 25th and had three kings, three stars attached to him, and all this other stuff. I was like, nah, he lying right there. And I can't stand a liar, bro. Don't lie to me. That's intellectual dishonesty. And you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if he was a scholar or not, but you put yourself on a platform and you're putting this out to thousands, millions of people, and they gravitating to it, but you're
yeah.
lying to them. You lying to them, and that's what I don't appreciate.
Right. Right.
Ladies,
So I mean,
ladies and gentlemen, the one and only GT.
we can go into like a couple of discussions because even if you're going to go the David Rowe route, we can talk about all of that. We can talk about uh
Yeah.
Shimham, Japheth, that
Hmm.
time period, the time period of Abraham when he
Hmm.
supposedly went into Kemet, what time period that was. We can talk
Man,
about the
hey,
time of
hey.
Solomon meeting Shishonk when Shishonk went into the Levant
See,
and
you
wreaked
see,
havoc
hold
in
up,
the
stop,
Levant.
stop, 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 stop. You saying shishonk. You're saying
Uh-huh.
shishonk, as in Shoshenq, as we would, what I'm saying, transliterate it. But shishonk is not shishat. And I think that is where, that's one of the topics if you want to talk about it, we can
Right,
talk
right. He
about it.
and I know David Rose says it's Ramesses, but it's not. It's not.
It is.
It's
It
not a
is.
Ramesu.
It is Ramses the second, bro. Look, Ramses. This is one thing I love about the Egyptians, bro. They brag about the good stuff, but they don't brag about the bad stuff. They brag about the good stuff. And when Shishak went into Jerusalem, my man's put up a whole stone. It's called the Jerusalem stone, and he put it at the top of a column, I think at the Ramesseum, somewhere outside of the temple area. But on it, he tells the year, in the eighth year of his reign, he destroyed the city Shalom. The only place in the Levant that was called by that name was Jerusalem, city of peace, Jerusalem. And the Bible says that Shishak went into Jerusalem, and he reprimanded Rehoboam and took the shields of gold. So that right there alone, and then on top of that, when you go inside of the Ramesseum, it's like, and look, I kind of cheated a little bit because I used my son's VR, and like you can the little goggles or the goggles that they use. So I use that. I didn't travel physically, but virtually I went there, and you can walk inside. So when you walk inside, you look to the left, pan to the left or whatever, and you'll see an image. And that image is of Ramses, holding the bow at his enemy. And the enemy that he's aiming at is is in a temple, and you have a man who is dressed just like a Semite king, who's begging for mercy, And to me, that looks like the temple of God. It looks just like Solomon's temple. And if we look, and now they always say it's on the stones, it's on the stones. So there you go. It's on the stones. It's right there.
And y'all may get in here, man. Get in here.
But that's just a theory, you know what I'm saying? That's my theory. I believe what I'm researching, I believe it to be true. The timeline and everything makes sense. When we look at Shawshank.
Hold up, GT.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yame, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
All right.
Uh, yeah. I got reprimanded for being too loud. I got too excited, waking up the kids. But
go ahead and get in here, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good topic because I definitely know what Ramesu did when he went into the Levant, and the story of Solomon kind of reflects the story of what they call Ramesses, when he controlled it all the way from the Nile River all the way up to the Euphrates River. And that's what Shishak was doing. Shishak was trying to go in and take back that trade route, take control of all of that. And Solomon, which I don't believe was he had an empire. He might have been a king in Jerusalem. But the story of Solomon reflects either Ramesses or Amenhotep when they controlled from the Nile Valley all the way up to the Euphrates.
Okay. You said Amenhotep. Which one? Amenhotep, the first, the second,
The
third,
third.
fourth,
Third.
the third. Okay. Amenhotep was before Shishak or Ramses.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say this. I'm gonna respond with this, but then I'm gonna just fall back after that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So first you said Shoshank was trying to control the Euphrates and all that, which is true in a sense because Egypt had a lockdown on the Levant. I agree with that. But when you look at Shoshank's campaigns, he is decimating. He's decimating cities in the northern part of the Levant. Okay? He's decimating it. Now, let's go back to the Bible on this. Right before Solomon died, the Bible says that he tried to kill Jehoram, Jehoram, who would take the 10 tribes of Israel to himself. Okay? Now, when Solomon tried to kill him, he fled where? Into Egypt. He fled down to who? Shishak. So that tells me that Solomon was alive when Ramses was alive, and that the king who would eventually take 10 of the tribes to himself was friends with Shishak. So once Solomon died and the kingdom was split, as we read in the Bible, Jeroboam took the 10 tribes to the north. If you look at Shoshank, not Shishak, Shoshank's campaigns, he's decimating the northern parts of the Levant. Does it make sense that he was an ally? He's an ally of Jeroboam, but yet he's decimating his cities. The two don't match. The two do not match. That's why Shishak can't be Shoshank. But when we go and look at the campaigns of Shishak and Ramses, when we go look at not Shishak, because they confuse the two. But when we look at Ramses the Second's campaigns, guess what he's doing? He's not even touching the north. He's decimating cities in the south. Why? He not friends with Rehoboam. He's not friends with him. He's friends with Jeroboam. So it wouldn't make sense that he would decimate cities in the north. So Shishak can't be Shoshank because Shoshank didn't attack. He didn't attack the south. He actually attacked the north. And I believe Shoshank is actually another mysterious person mentioned in the Bible. But like I said, I'm gonna fall back on
Spit
that.
that Egyptologist.
But hold up. One last thing. Now you brought up Amenhotep the third. Okay, Amenhotep the third had a son. His name was Amenhotep the fourth. Amenhotep the fourth changed his name to Akhenaten. We need to think about this, bro. They weren't concerned about the Levant during the Amarna period, which is credited to Amenhotep the third and the fourth, aka Akhenaten. They weren't worried at all about the Levant. I don't even think they had you can't even read of any campaigns that's taking place in the Levant during their tenure. What you do find is a bunch of Haparu, Aparu, or better yet, Hebrews taking cities in the Levant. And all of these Amarna letters coming from these kings, hey, you better come get your city. You better come get your city. The Hebrews, they
I
right
mean,
at the gate.
this,
They right
is
at
gonna
the
have to
gate.
be. This is gonna have to be like 3 parts.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about.
Yeah. That's why I say I'm gonna
If
Y'all
we're
just
gonna
lit,
talk
bro.
about the Armada letters, then you definitely talking about what I'm talking about. That whole
yeah.
area belonged to Kemet. The
It
whole
did.
area belonged to Kemet.
It really did. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
But
story hasn't been
but
told.
the thing is, see, look at how it fits in so perfectly. During that point in time when the United Kingdom was established, not with Saul, but with King David, between King David and Solomon, there was a United Kingdom in Israel. There was generally peace amongst the nations at that time for the most
Right.
part.
Supposedly.
But okay, yeah,
Subscribe
but
now.
Spit that Egyptologist.
when you go and look at the campaigns of the 19th dynasty, Amenhotep III and fourth Akhenaten, most of their campaigns were in the south, in Nubia. Okay, not a lot going on in the north. Again, because in the Levant, because I don't know what it is. Maybe it was because Akhenaten may have been. I'm gonna slip this in here. Akhenaten may have been inspired by King David to go monotheistic, and so therefore he wasn't really concerned about any campaigns in Levant. This left a window of opportunity for Israel to capture for David to capture the Jebusite city, Jerusalem, make it the capital, and have his son Solomon come in. But we see right after Solomon, things go haywire. So I think the events that take place between the 19th and no, the 18th and 19th dynasty, I misspoke before. 18th and 19th dynasties, everything that's taking place in that time frame gives the children of Israel a united kingdom, and then being allies with Ramses. I mean, it all adds up.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna say my little spiel, then we can stop. The priesthood of Amun Ra, they removed Akhenaten because he had his head in his ass too long. He was too spiritual, and he lost a lot of territory for Kemet. That's why they removed him, because his total focus was spirituality when he
But
was supposed to be running a
who
nation.
who removed him? Because I just thought he from the historical records, it just shows that he died, and then his son, uh, uh, Tutankhamun, came to power.
Yeah,
It
but
didn't. It
under
didn't.
under
It doesn't.
under the Amun Ra, under the
There's
Amun
no.
Ra priesthood.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay. So you should know this, right? Like that would have been mutiny for them to dispose of a king that's not something that the Egyptians would have done. They would have just waited for the king to die of natural causes or died in war, and then go and desecrate his grave and everything that he etched, which is exactly what the priests of Amun Ra, as you stated, did. They waited till he died, and then they got his son, Tut, King Tut, to go in and erase his names and try to find any references to the Aten and destroy it and reestablish their cult as the main cult of Amun Ra.
Right. I mean, you could say that. I
I mean,
believe they killed
that's
him.
what happened.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
I believe they killed him.
What do you, young man? What do you promote? What do you believe in, bro? What, like,
If you look up my name in Yame, it's a kind name for the highest God. I don't have a particular belief. At one time, I was into the Bible really strong, but I do believe in a higher power.
okay.
I do believe that I do believe that I do believe that the ancestors still play a role in our lives. What role, I don't really know. I know it's true because of genetics. I know they play that role.
Okay.
Is there a physical ancestor that can come through dreams? I believe that. I believe ancestors.
Okay, now, I was trying to cut y'all I was trying to cut y'all conversation. I was just trying to, I like to ask everybody what they believe in. That's it. So more like ancestor worship, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I don't do the rituals.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
but I still have a great reverence for the ancestor, even the ones here in America, such as King, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman. I put them on a very high regard, and I look to them for inspiration.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, yeah, y'all go back and talk about Egypt. Talk.
Sidebar. Do say it's smoother than Hennessy.
Quick.
Hey,
there's another sidebar.
You just made that up, bro.
I got another sidebar. Negroes punish their tongue mostly with what they drink. Duce is a good example, and mostly so is regular Hennessy. But
see that DMG?
I heard him.
No, I'm just telling you what's real. I'm just telling you what's real, right? Because
I sent him some Hennessy White, so he know what I drink. So I ain't
Okay, look, just out of curiosity, I have a question. Okay, so I was watching the chat. Where was the conversation about eponymous ancestors? Where was that coming from?
That came from me in Yemen.
Okay, and what was the point you were making about eponymous ancestors?
They were saying that Ham is the same as Kim or Kemet, that he was the ancestor of Kemet, and I say that's more mythology than it is history.
Okay, and you believe that?
Hold on. What I was stating about the Ham and Cam and Kemet, Ham and Kemet. Basically, I was just stating that Ham, the Bible calls the land of Egypt Ham, the land of Ham. It calls it Egypt. So when we look at Ham and then we have Kemet, I can't make a connection there, but it still makes sense that Ham is the eponymous ancestor of Kemet, because based upon what Genesis 10 states in regards to the table of nations.
Okay, yeah. Well, the reason I was asking, because I was interested because I saw Brother Courtney Thompson. He had posted that eponymous doesn't suggest myth, and so I was just wondering if someone had made that point. The reason I was asking is because I know Garfield, when Garfield and I debated, he made the same point, but that's really not how you do history, I guess. And I didn't really get to respond to that because we had a short window of time, because debate rules were changed right before. I had a shorter window of time, so I had to sort of change my questions. the debate rules were changed about 4 times, minutes before the debate and then during the debate. So I had to actually limit my questions, but I was hoping that that if someone had suggested that eponymous meant myth, I was just going to respond to that now in a way that I couldn't during the debate. But
no, I think what he was saying is that the Genesis account is myth, but I asked him to define what he means by myth. Like, is it something perpetuated to be false knowingly, or is it something, a cosmology of a people of activities that have taken place over time, natural and supernatural, so
and maybe and what was your response to that, brother? What do you take myth to mean in this context?
In this context, the book of Genesis is ontological, meaning the Hebrew elders were saying this is how we began. This is where our story begins, right here with Shem, Abraham, and so on.
Gotcha. Okay. And so in your mind, does that mean it's not historical?
No, I don't believe it's historical at all.
Well, no, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think by calling it myth that means that it's not history?
No. I'm saying in this case, now the way they see it, they had spiritual understanding, so it was truth. But I'm saying it wasn't true. That Kemet, the existence of Kemet, would have ran all the way through the North story.
Okay, so, well, just out of curiosity, so on that note, I guess the question that I have on that note, because I took down a couple notes from things y'all were talking about. When on that note, why do you take the Kemetic story as being the barometer of truth by which we would measure the other histories by?
Well, it's the one that lines closer to history and to archaeology.
Okay, so in the early days of Kemet, and by the way, what are you using to examine the timeline? Are you talking about like the reliefs on walls?
Right. The comparative. So you got Kemet's writings. You're going to have some from Akkad or the Akkadians.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have some writings from Sumer.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have some writings from different areas, especially King's List. So you compare the King's List, you compare the archaeology.
Well, no, I got you. But my question is a little more targeted. My question is actually related to. So when you talk about these other places, are you telling me that their histories not likewise mythical? Or is there not likewise myth, an appeal to the gods?
Oh, it's likewise. It's likewise. Kemet has myth.
Well, right. Well, the reliefs on the walls, the stuff that's written on the walls, were the people in Kemet, were they intending to write down events as they actually happened?
No, they wrote it down as they saw the need. So it doesn't have to be exact, but there is some historical evidence, just like in the biblical text when they talk about Hezekiah. Hezekiah is a real king. We have historical evidence of Hezekiah.
Right.
Now the whole King's List might not. We don't have evidence for that entire King list, but we do have evidence for Hezekiah.
Right.
So I can't say that it's not based on some type of history when I know that it is.
Well, right. Well, but my question is this: when you accept the timeline, right, that they give, if you remove the kings, if you remove most of the kings from the King's List, how'd you arrive at a chronology?
You have the kings and you have dates. I mean, you have archaeological dates.
Right.
So if Ramesses said he met with the king of Hatti land, and there's a writing from Hatti that they met with Ramesses, and then you find archaeology that they did have a battle in Kadesh or whatever, then you can say, okay, this is a historical fact.
Okay.
And that's what I go by.
Right. So, but that's not really dependent. So, because what I'm asking is this, and let me tell you the reason why I'm asking. Well, let me ask it this way. Can you name me a time that I don't know? Give me a handful of times that on the reliefs in temples, on pyramids and walls, things like that, where the pharaoh or the king of that time admitted a defeat.
Well, you have the Merneptah stele, where he said he defeated these different tribes in the Levant.
Well, no, I was asking when they admitted a defeat.
Oh,
Yeah.
admitted. Okay, I see. No, I don't think there is. There's one.
Well, right.
In Kemet.
Well, right. Well, and the point of that is because so when they were writing, they weren't writing down defeats and things like that. That generally wasn't the purpose. These were sacrifices to the gods. You would agree, right? These were presentations to the gods, these stories. And so like if you have the pharaohs and they look like giants on those reliefs, that's not actual either, right?
No, that's their presentation of life.
Right.
Their image.
Yeah.
Sound like propaganda to me.
Yeah, it's the definition of propaganda. So they never started a war. They responded justly, to all of these wars. There was some reason for them acting, and then they also didn't take any ills. They didn't take any ills whatsoever. So, but shifting gears from that.
Subscribe now.
When you speak of Kemet's rule of the region, right, where the Israelites will have said to have gone after the Exodus and things like that, was how interested in and I think GT was making a similar point, but what was the control that Kemet actually had over the region at the time? Like not just ownership or rulership, but like how active were they in policing that area? And what I mean is, let me give you a modern example, like Mexico, right? Everything in Mexico, we would say that belongs to the Mexican government, right? That's what we mean when we talk about nation states and things like that. But it's also a fact of history that Mexico does not rule entire swaths of the territory there. And so in political science, we declare Mexico either a weak or a failed state because they don't actually control every area. So with respect to the Levant and a specific area there where Israel would have been during that time period, how much actual control and power did Kemet exert in that specific area?
It depends on the dynasty.
Well, the period I'm talking about would be post-Exodus. So whatever your timeline is, whatever dynasty during that time, what would you say?
If you're talking about Ahmose,
whoever you say would rule during the time.
I say he dominated the period in the Levant.
In that specific region, so he had a standing army there?
Yes.
During that time period?
Yes.
Okay, and evidence for that? Well, and I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head, but
right.
Come back and provide that. I'd be interested. The reason I'm asking is because I listened to a couple of Egyptologists and mainstream Egyptologists as well present on that specific time period during that time, and they actually said that that Kemet was largely uninterested in the area and that it was more like a free-for-all in the area during that time period. That's what I was asking. But give you an opportunity to present. I did have a question about what you were saying about Solomon before. So when you
wait, hold on, guys. Let's do a part two.
Hold on, we got other people joining on.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay, guys. Let's do a part two. I have to get back in with the family. I'm getting a side eye right now.
No, I get it, bro. All of us married.
Before you leave, let me. I gotta hit this joint real quick.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
We appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Peace.
Appreciate you.
Until next time.
Hey, my brother Sankofa, look, I lost your contact information, man. If you could put it in the private chat so I could get with you about that show. I had hit Sonetta up, and we forgot to exchange because a whole bunch of other stuff happened. But I'm glad you jumped on, man. What you got to say about the conversation?
I'm just listening. I was really trying to figure out if I was gonna come up or not. Like I usually would try to come up if there's something I can say, but at the moment I'm really just listening.
Who's Lamar Pope?
I was just gonna say that. He'll a viewer in the chat, man. Why y'all worried about Lamar?
Well, I'm asking because I'm reading something and it says
he said Leon's like tripping.
Well, let me finish my convo with Sam Kofa.
No. I'm moving a while. I'm running the show.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, brother DMG, yeah, I'm just coming up to see what's happening, brother. Just saying what's up. I'll hit you up with my contact.
Hey, bro, do me a favor and put that contact info in the private chat for me because I lost the original and I had been trying to get it. I never to get it again and a whole bunch of stuff just happened. So
no problem.
This dude,
no problem.
Crazy,
let me talk.
This dude crazy. What's wrong with this dude, man? Where he go? You kicked him out.
Hey, don't do that again.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh man, y'all crazy.
Anyway, my brother can't go to Conqueror. What's going on, bro?
What's the address over there?
Oh, I love coming over here and support. Gotta support a fellow St. Louisan. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I gotta hit one for the loot. But yeah, man, we gotta link up again too, man. We stay too close to each other.
Yeah. We gotta hit that cigar bar up.
I'm actually going tomorrow if you want to roll.
Oh my God, man.
Oh, I ain't got nothing going on.
You don't ever have anything.
All right, we're gonna
hold on, bro. Wait a minute. Hold on,
my cousin that threatened you for saying my cousin that threatened you for saying my wife was hot. We meeting him up there.
Oh, that's what's up. I like that.
Hey,
don't go, don't go, bro. You ain't gonna make it out. You seen what happened to Pop? I'm telling you,
man,
don't
tell that young man that. But what did you think of the conversation? Did you hear any of the conversation between Nyame and the brothers?
I wish, but I like coming out here and supporting.
Yeah. Tell people about the Discord you got going, man.
Oh, I want everybody to make a Discord and join the Paradigm Shift 314 Discord. There's too many people. It's too many people that patronize DMG in the the Facebook group chat, but nobody wants to patronize the Discord group chat. Keep in mind, it's easy to make. All you got to do is just, shoot one of us to invite, and we'll let you in, and we can have the conversations that we have on the shows on there. It's so easy. I've been trying to do that for the longest, and ain't nobody been making a Discord. I don't get it.
What you mean making a Discord? You mean that's just the name of a Facebook group? What you mean?
It's originally a gaming group, but people use it to talk, and it's another platform. Yeah, it's another platform. Yes.
Okay, got you. Okay, I got you.
Okay. Can I talk now?
Yes, you can.
Move the wire. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, you can't.
Hey,
you
DMG,
can't. You can't.
How do I become a member? You were talking about the other day.
Say what?
How do I join? How do I become a member? This thing where I get free trips. Tell me how to do it. I'm finna do it right now.
Go on YouTube.
Okay, I'm on YouTube.
Go to the chat. Go to DMG page. It's gonna ask you, do you want a membership?
Okay, where I go? Because look, I'm looking at it. Y'all need to walk me through where I do it at.
Hey, look, dude, should he qualify for a trip?
Hey, listen, I need to qualify for a trip, or I'm a copyright the whole thing.
What?
Well, Let me interject. I do think that Leandre, I think he's worthy of a trip. I mean, he's from what I've seen so far, he has really put in work on your channel. So I think he should be, one of the people that gets first dibs because he's really patronized with content.
You would no longer. Hey, listen, can't go to Conqueror. To the cigar bar.
He almost a Christian, bro. He almost a Christian. We're bringing him back.
Hey, listen.
We're bringing him back.
DMG, walk me through how to do it right now.
And in the meantime, I'm gonna be looking for somebody else to run my Discord.
It say join. Leon Gray, go to
this face, this mustache. He looked like an old school magician. You remember like the Monopoly man when he was in his 20s. Like,
he do look like the Black Monopoly man though, for real. He needs to cosplay as the Black Monopoly man.
Anyway, no, that's all good, man. But yeah, he's been putting in work. So my favorite relative of his will be contacting him for a trip. And today is her birthday. Happy birthday to my sister Nada Black.
Oh, hey,
happy birthday.
Miss Nada Black, how you doing?
I ain't saying nothing to her, Leandre. So I don't know why you got all hyped talking about.
I'm saying hello.
Don't speak to my sister.
I'm saying.
Press that join button, Leandre. Leandre, go to your phone. Press the join button. Press the join button, bro. It's gonna ask you. Look, it's gonna ask you, do you want to subscribe or do you want to join? Press the join button.
So I got a question.
That ain't the option.
No, go to the Paradigm Shift page on YouTube.
This is the Paradigm Shift page right here.
Well, look up there, right there on the top, right there. It should ask you, do you want to subscribe?
Yeah, there should be a link on there.
This is why I ain't joined. I need.
It should be a link. It should be a link on there.
No, bro. Okay, hold up, bro. Leandre, where's the button on there for you to unsubscribe to the channel? We'll go to that part.
Okay, you see it right
there? Yeah, right on side of that, it should have a join button, bro.
It ain't got no join button. It's broken. Y'all need to fix it.
Nah, mine say join right here.
Listen, all I see is this bald nigga here.
Hey man, we don't like that kind of language on this channel, man. Especially
scroll to the right.
Especially from people from where you from. And
If y'all don't tell me how to join, I'm gonna go to Sidnetter's channel. I'm only asking one more time.
Nah, we definitely ain't going over there. Scroll to the right.
I'm not worried about you going to Side Channel. I support Side Channel.
Look,
so I'll be happy for you to go over there.
Look,
don't go over there, bro.
I got a question before we get to that. Why is it preposterous to think that? So let me see how I want to ask this. So because I'm not talking about the actual writing of the story. I'm talking about from a historical standpoint. Why is what Inyame saying out of the question as far as Kemet existing according to their evidence during the entire biblical timeline? Why is that? Is that a preposterous assertion?
You asking me?
I'm asking both of y'all.
Well, you said Kemet existing
during that, the way in the way that he's saying it did.
Well, here's the thing. One, if there's, I think, generally.
We can't hear you.
I was muted for whatever reason. I know what you're doing.
I didn't mute you.
It said muted. I know what you're doing. Now, as I was saying,
I would just put you in the back because I see how much it irritates you now. But go ahead.
Well, I guess I would just say, you can't just begin with the assumption that one timeline, I'm just going to accept one timeline over the other, unless you're willing to admit that as a bias. But what actually happens is, in the case with Kemet, one, for a fact, and this is widely known, that the Kemetic timeline, the list of kings, things like that. This is something that's widely believed by most scholarship, is that a lot of it is simply made up. The timeline itself stretches credulity and really stretches beyond. everything that's known about the timeline if you take the sort of Kemetic timeline itself as it is. And there's also been scholars who sort of propose that there might have been sort of divided kings in Kemet. So that way, if you want to take all the timelines, you'd have multiple kings who are ruling simultaneously over the historic land. So there's different ways to sort of answer that question. But sort of going back, if you take their list, you know, it's beyond all of the other evidence and stuff like that you can find. This isn't the way that they sort of do timelines within the other region. For example, like with the biblical timeline, when the archaeology itself, with respect to the digs and the finds and stuff that had been done, didn't match up with the biblical record, what they did is they said, well, the biblical record must be incorrect because we don't have anything to substantiate that. And then when later, and this is why, like when it came to respect with things like Solomon, right? And in the past, there was all sorts of reasons that scholars doubted Solomon's existence. But one of the reasons is because they haven't done a bunch of archaeological digs. And when they did so, though, and this came out in the digs of like Eliad Mazar, and this is published, and numerous scholars responded, like Amahai Mazar, talking about the fact that you would have had a united kingdom under David and under Solomon, and talking about the archaeology that would have been found, the steep structures and things like that would show that Israel was actually a united monarchy during that period of time. These are 2010 publications that I know a lot of people haven't caught up on. There's older information, 20+ years older information that people maybe don't know that they were holding on to, that they don't know about the sort of updated scholarly information on the subject. So I would just say that recent archaeological finds actually lend they lend towards the biblical side of that thing. And whereas likewise, during that time period when it's claimed that Kemet ruled all the area, well, you could say that they did, but in the way that Mexico rules all of Mexico, but that they didn't exact control over every particular portion. And again, in modern mainstream Egyptologists have pointed this sort of thing out. So we know that there's things wrong with the timeline and with the way that Kemet reported their sort of doings, especially in reliefs and things like that. You don't really have official government texts and things like that you're going over, or really anything that's written from that's even meant to look like something like history. It's really meant to present certain things to the gods. So if you sort of just take the position that because Kemet said this happened, therefore everything else is wrong, well, that's really without substantiation. So those are the reasons I would give.
If I can answer that, DMG, you know that you're my go-to person when it comes to Kemet. You know, man, you've been talking about Kemet for years, and well, you know that I know that even the king list is not complete. You know, it's some names missing off of that list. So for Leandre to ask him by what timeline is he going by, you know, just to see if he's going by the king's list, and if that's what he's dating Egypt by, then you and I already know that that's flawed. And I know that we all would also agree that when it comes to archaeology, not that people didn't have love for the past, and not that people, you know, didn't always like individuals didn't dig stuff up, but archaeology as a study, as a field of study, we know that that's modern, you know, and that's the reason why, like Leandre said, they're still finding stuff today, and a lot of people have been updated their archaeology talking points, because if they did in 2023, a lot of these arguments, we wouldn't even be having some of these arguments, because again, just the study of it within itself, and it being, you know, a job and things like that, that stuff is modern. People make it like archaeology have been around for thousands of years as a study, and it's like, oh, they haven't found this Bible stuff yet. Like, no, that's not the case. And when we do archaeology, and when we do look up what the people who actually found this stuff or that are in the room studying this stuff, a lot of it does line up with the Bible. And we haven't found anything in archaeology that would disprove the biblical text in no way, shape, or form. And like Najida was saying earlier, him calling something mythology, in what way are you calling it mythology? Because some people call things mythology just because it has supernatural aspects in it, not necessarily that it don't have history in it, and that's a big difference. So when it comes to the Bible, people can exclude the talking snake and talking donkey and all that other stuff if they want to. But the parts that do line up with history that we can prove, we do have the evidence for it. And him want to have the conversation of the story of Noah being older than Kemet, or Kemet being older than the story of Noah. He said that it wasn't true, but it is true. When we look up KEMT and KHAM and all of that, we can look in history and see that was a name for Kemet, particularly. So that being the case, that would override whatever date that we would want to give to Noah and the timeline and all that, seeing that who the Bible says is the founder of that land and those people, for that to be in the name of it at some point in time, it really ain't no way of getting around that.
I would like to chime in on the question. I think I would agree with Nyame in saying the biblical story is myth. You know, you don't have any real evidence for the actual Exodus itself. You might have people that come with the they could have been the Hyksos, they could have been the people that inhabited the Avaris region, or so on and so forth. But if that's the case, then that's actual history versus the Moses story, which would be like a myth in order to relate the history that the ancestors of the people who would become the Israelites at one time inhabited the lands of Egypt. It's not evidence for the Moses story. There's like no evidence for the Exodus. And then, like, as far as the Noah story is concerned, the Noah story seems to be like the rewritten Mesopotamian flood myth story. You know, as far as the actual events of the flood, and then even the 10 ancestors before the flood happening existing lines up, not the time, because the ancestors in the flood, I think the longest they lived was like 967 years. The ancestors in the Sumerian flood, they lived like thousands of years, so it didn't make any sense. But there's still 10 of those ancestors that lived. And then when you look at the Noah's flood story, there's 10 ancestors before Noah, 10, I guess, 10 patriarchs before Noah comes on the scene that lived up into the flood story. So one and one, you can look at the Mesopotamian story and see that the Israelites are copying the Mesopotamian story and then adding it to their history and their literature. But that to me makes it mythology. And so when we're talking about ancient Egypt, the King's List, there's some issues with the King's List, you know, which King's List to use. Then you have that brother Tahuti coming on saying like Shu and Tefnut and Asar actually existed, you know, and then that's like the same thing as the Mesopotamian list. You know, their kings being mythological up until the actual first human king. But then you can look at other things like related to archaeology, such as the different tombs that exist, not necessarily the pyramid text, but you can even look at the tombs of the nobles that existed in the 5th and the 6th dynasties, which predate any of the Hebrews or the Habrus ever coming on the scene. And so that in of itself says the nation of Egypt would have been older than the biblical story itself. Like the Bible, most of the scholars say the Bible doesn't really start to come into existence until sometime around the 700s. You know, that's BCE. Kemet is way older than that. But Kemet is just an African-centered nation. Like it's the culmination of Africans gathering together and creating a civilization. That would be it.
Oh, man. One of y'all want to respond? Who want to respond?
Yeah. So I would say that probably 95% of that is incorrect. One, when you say that there's no evidence for the Exodus, what authorities have you consulted?
What do you mean? What authority have I consulted?
Well, if to say that there's no evidence, that would seem to suggest that you've searched for evidence and they couldn't find any. Is that not what that suggests?
Are you asking me, have I went over and done archaeological digs myself? Is
No,
that what you're asking?
No, that's.
Are you asking what have I read?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Research.
Yeah.
So looking at the history, what scholars would, well, let's look at the biblical story itself, right? The biblical story itself says 603,000 men of fighting age left Kemet, right?
This is not my question. I'm asking what authorities you consulted when you say that there's no evidence.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought to some people the Bible was an authority.
No.
Is that not the case?
Well. So what I'm
Is the Bible not an authority in this situation?
Come on. Good conversation. Come on.
In a completely different context and meaning, I'm asking. So for example, there's multiple, but there's a mainstream Egyptologist, and multiple scholars of ancient history and prehistory who presented evidence for the Exodus. When you say that there's none, I guess I'm wondering what the basis is for that statement. For example, loan words that exist in both Kemetic text, Hebrew loan words that are in Kemetic text, and in Egyptian loan words in the Pentateuch specifically, not elsewhere, but in the Pentateuch respectively, as evidence for the Exodus. And then actually, when you talk about 7th century and that sort of thing, you have scrolls of text that are older than the dates you just gave. And so there are texts that we know that predated, that predated, like the Silver Scrolls, are about the date. Matter of fact, a little older than the date you just gave for when the Bible started coming together. But we don't find Egyptian loan words there. But mainstream Egyptologists have presented like Egyptian loan words as evidence for the Exodus, as well as entire populated cities leaving, like one-to-one correlation sorts of things as evidence for the Exodus. So when you say there's none, that's why I'm asking, what authorities like Egyptologists and experts have you consulted that told you that?
Well, then, like our conversation that I'm gonna have exactly like you, the Pentateuch in and of itself is an Egyptian product.
Well,
so the Pentateuch wait, stop cutting me off. Stop cutting me off. Yes, I'm gonna answer the question, but then stop cutting me off. Like in order to explain like where did the loan words come from, like the Pentateuch itself came out of Egypt. That's the whole thing. It was the Egyptian Alexandrian Jews that created the Pentateuch. So the fact that there's Egyptian loan words inside of that makes sense. What we had, so Israel Finkelstein, in his research on trying to prove the Exodus, is showing that what you don't have, and the reason, and see, you stopped me, and I would have led context to this whole thing. Israel Finkelstein says that according to the archaeological digs that happened in that area, there is no evidence for the Exodus per se. What you do have is that sufficient, brother? Before I move on, because I would still like to address the biblical reference because it makes sense in why Israel Finkelstein will make the statement.
Yeah.
Now let me go ahead and go on then.
Okay.
Like I said, the Bible says 603,000 fighting men left Egypt. Now, if you include their mother and father, that puts the number up to 1.8 million. Then if you just include one child, that's 2.4 million people leaving Egypt. Mm-hmm. So then when you have 2.4 million people wandering through the desert, they leave things behind, showing evidence of their existence. But you don't have any of that. I mean, one of the things that one of the apologists are trying to, put evidence for the Exodus, he says that they found one chariot wheel inside the Nile River, and that's evidence for the Exodus. That's not evidence for the Exodus. That's one chariot wheel inside the Nile River. That chariot wheel could have got there between when the Hyksos first introduced the chariots inside of Egypt all the way up to Roman times. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's the fact that there's no evidence for there's no archaeological evidence showing that 2 to 2.4 million people was traversing that area that we know of as Canaan during that time period. Then in reference to, because people can't find evidence of the Exodus, what ends up happening is they try to tag on the Israelites could have been the Hyksos, the people that came in and conquered Kemet during the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th dynasty, and that lived in the city of Avaris. That's I forget the brother's name that puts forth that theory. But then in order to make that theory work, because the Hyksos were actually conquerors, he ends up saying the Hyksos came in and were conquerors, but there was another group of Canaanites that came in that the Hyksos dominated over. I mean, what you end up having is people trying to do some revisionist history on what happened in order to give some sort of credence or evidence for the Exodus tradition, when in and of itself, what is presented in the Bible as the Exodus did not exist. What you have to do is some sort of revisionist history to say, well, this is what the archaeological evidence shows. This must be the thing that happened in Egypt in order to bring forth the Exodus story. But Exodus story, as it's presented in the Bible, is myth.
Okay. Are you done now?
Hey, Sankofa, Doctor, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Obadeli Cambone suggests that the Hebrews were the Hyksos.
Right. I mean, you're gonna have people do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's completely.
I grabbed one of his lectures, and I mean, and it was he made a compelling case. I was like, wow. But Leandre, respond, and then we'll get to the details.
Yeah. So here's one of the things happened. So you did cite Israel Finkelstein. You cited old business of Israel Finkelstein, but not an Egyptologist actually. Like there's a mainstream Egyptologist like David Falk, who again he has an entire series presenting evidence for the Exodus, and he does talk about the evacuation of Avaris. Which, if you have a different theory as to why Avaris was evacuated, I'm happy to hear it. Why such a fertile place was evacuated with no explanation. But I guess one of the biggest questions that I have is again, how many archaeological digs have been done in ancient Kemet anyway? Because when you talk about that there not being archaeological evidence, one, I guess what's the interesting thing is that you sort of limit history to what you could find in archaeology. And I'm wondering if you could give us a basis for that.
Well, why would you say why would that be an issue to put history and archaeology together?
Well, the reason why it would be an issue is because archaeology is itself not history; it's the study of trash. Archaeology is an auxiliary science of history that's used in history. But archaeology, for example, 99.9% of the people who exist on the planet will never leave an archaeological.
I have evidence. Yeah.
So and then in which case, so here's one of the things that I put together when debating Garfin. So I went and brought up the slides and stuff that I put out here, right? And so when people make these sorts of cases, you sort of assume that we have all the archaeology from the region, from the area, which we don't. It's just a fallacy, and there are numerous archaeologists who said it. James Hoffmeyer, for example, says no serious archaeologist thinks that direct archaeological evidence will be found. In this case, he's talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But then he goes on to say, as a field archaeologist myself, I'm keenly aware of how little has actually survived from the ancient past, owing to natural forces such as moisture in many forms, deflation and earthquakes, as well as human impact in the form of later occupation in ancient times, reusing earlier building materials, human destruction, war and burning, and modern development, urban and agricultural. Realistic expectations about what archaeology can and cannot do for biblical studies must always be kept in mind. But I have an entire slideshow, as a matter of fact, as I'm going to do, just so in case somebody wants to call my bluff. But what I did is this came up, DMG. I'm trying to share. You see it, DMG. I'm trying to share. Okay, there you go. So that's the thing.
What are you reading?
So can you see my slide?
I don't.
I have a slideshow up. It says I'm supposed to be sharing.
I had a Nintendo back in the 80s, but I ain't got no proof of that.
Hang on, look. Let me try to share again. DMG, can you see it?
I mean, I saw it the first time, but you irk me, so I'm taking this rare opportunity to irk you. But you can put it up. You can put it up.
Yes. So anyhow,
go ahead and share it. Go ahead and share.
Here you go. Okay, can you see it? Yeah. So and again, and there's numerous archaeologists who will basically say that archaeology is actually a very limited field. It's an auxiliary science. It's itself not history. And numerous times when people say things like this, they confuse the different fields. You can use archaeology and you can use biology and genetic sequencing and all that kind of stuff like that to help tell a story of history. But history is primarily told by documents. That's a fact. And so when you talk like that, it makes it seem like we have all the archaeology and what we should expect to find is blah, 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 blah. Now, I will grant though that there should be some evidence for the Israelites being in Egypt, or the proto-Israelites, because they weren't Israelites proper yet, being in Egypt. Now that's a fact, but that's the reason why numerous pieces of evidence are given by mainstream Egyptologists. But when you say things like archaeology, it's not one and the same as history. and as a matter of fact, says yet again, although survey and excavation data are fundamental for the study of Palestinian settlement, unfortunately, but inevitably, we are faced with a series of partial texts, and they are partial partly because not all subregions have been surveyed to the same level of intensity. But he goes on to say the historian will always be faced with partial data, however extensive the archaeological work might be. That's even in the face of history. That's even in face of archaeology. So I did this when just talking about like sort of archaeology of the Levant area. And this is according to archaeologist David Graves. 7,000 sites, particularly the Levant, have been found. 4,200 sites have been excavated. About 150 sites have been excavated. Of the 150 excavated sites, they have not been completely excavated. And even with that, though, like even in places like Oxyrhynchus, Egypt, where there's all sorts of finds that go on all the time, you don't actually have all of these finds being published. So when you make an appeal to archaeology, one, that's not the complete story of history. History is likewise done by written text, and principally by written text. So when you do that and you base on the archaeology, well, that's not really giving a complete story of history. So now that I've given you my answer, when you limit it to archaeology and exclude the written text, give me a basis for doing so.
So here's the thing. All right. So Frank Cross, Samuel Noah Craner, Israel Finkelstein, Eleanor Wilson, Gerstrom Alstrom, and Gary Greenberg. These are the authors in which I get my information from. Mm-hmm. But like back again. So with the 603,000 men leaving Egypt, then taking their grandparents and at least one child, 2.4 million people leaving would have decimated the Egyptian population. At its height, Egyptian population was only 5 million people, according to archaeological records. And so then with half of those people leaving, it would have decimated the population and then left it open for conquest and conquering, which doesn't make sense because during the purported time of the Exodus, the 18th dynasty, Kemet was an imperial power. Mm-hmm. And then one of the main things that the Egyptian kings used to do in order to get initiated, it would seem like, was to make a conquest in Canaan, and then to bring back Canaanite people into Egypt as prisoners of war. We have dissertations on several different monuments. Now, your conversation about archaeology not being the totality of history, I mean, that's known. You know what I'm saying? We know of our ancestors that in America we only know of a few hundred at the very most of those that left evidence of their life during slavery. But we know that there were millions of our ancestors whose stories went untold. You understand? So we understand that there are stories in history that don't get told. And archaeology is not, of course, the totality of things. But when you have an event such as the Exodus and those millions of people leaving, you have an impact that extends beyond the establishing of the nation of Israel. What would have happened in the Kemetic civilization with half its population leaving was it would have been left in rubble. At that time, the Babylonian civilization was on the rise. It would have came in and definitely conquered earlier than it did. And so but then you don't have anything lining up with that. What you do have, like Divine Prospect, he does a good rebuttal on this and trying to say the numbers are off. He puts it down instead of 603,000, he says 600 families. He does something with saying they mistranslated the Hebrew, so on and so forth. And then my point is the Exodus story, as it's told in the Bible, is off. Does it recount some sort of history and legacy and trying to remind the people that their ancestors were in Kemet? More than likely, I would agree with that, because then you do have a lot of evidence of, what we call proto-Hebrew or proto-Israelite people being in Kemet and having issues. The Habru, the Apru, and the Amru, case in point. When you have, I think it was in the 12th dynasty, the earliest mention of the Israelite tribe, being in Kemet. They would say that these 10, I think it was 10 or 6 to 10 tribes of Israel that they conquered, and one of them was like the tribe of Dan. Something of that nature. It's on one of the stellates. Give me a moment, I'll pull it up. But then with the Brooklyn Papyri, when you have Israelite names in the Brooklyn Papyri, this is not necessarily evidence. Like, no one is saying, well, I am not saying that the Hebrews did not exist in history. But as far as their myth is concerned, the Bible is myth, not actual history.
I imagine
That's what, and then that would be the Exodus. That would be the Exodus part of it. Like I'm saying, Exodus is myth. Adam and Eve is myth. The eponymous ancestor portion of it. Ham being the eponymous ancestor of Egypt is myth.
Okay. At some point in time, you're gonna answer my question.
I thought I
already did. Okay. when I named off the scholars of Frank Cross, Samuel Noah Craner, Israel Finkelstein.
But that wasn't my question. That wasn't.
Hold on, Dre. We gonna let y'all finish.
I just want an answer.
And hey, listen, man. This brother Sankofa is he
is not answering the question.
You might be barking up the wrong tree, Slim Reaper. You might be barking up the wrong tree.
We can find out.
This tree might fall on you, Slim Reaper.
You need an answer, man.
The GT, what you got for us, man?
I just want to respond to what he said. You said if that many people had left Egypt, it would have decimated Egypt, left Egypt in ruins, right? That's what you said, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to say to you, I 100% agree with you. The only part I disagree with is when or which dynasty the Exodus happened. You can look up David Downs. You can look David Downs. You can look up the histories of Eusebius. You can look up my boy David Rowe. There is what's his name, Petrovich. There are many archaeologists, Egyptologists that all agree that the Egyptian chronology is off. The conventional chronology is off. So when you're looking at the Exodus taking place during the 18th dynasty, if you was to look at, for any evidence of an Exodus, you will not find it. Hold on for a y'all quiet. I'm on the phone. All right. So yeah, you will not find it. I agree. And just like who was it? It may have been David Downs. I'm shooting off the hip right now. But one archaeologist stated that he stated that the reason why they don't find evidence is because it's not that they looking in the because they looking in the wrong places. They looking in the right places. It's just that they're looking at the wrong time. That is the problem. That's why most conventional chronologists of Egyptology will say there is no evidence, because the evidence that they find to them dates too early or too late according to their timeline. That's the first problem. Until you deal with that problem, you're going to always come to that conclusion. But if we fix the timeline and look,
you breaking up, GT.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you look at a particular dynasty that this may have happened in, the 13th dynasty, we do see a not a gradual fall, but a rapid fall of Kemet. And that is the time when Egypt went into its second intermediate phase. That is the time when Egypt went into its intermediate phase, and I propagate that Egypt went into the second intermediate phase because of the Exodus. As a matter of fact, one document, and I know if you heard of it, the Ipuwer Papyrus. If this is not an eyewitness account of what happened in Egypt, the plagues that took place in Egypt, now the archaeologists would say, or the Egyptologists, they would tell you, oh, well, this was printed or written during the Ramses period, but they believe in some cases that the source of where they got it from, guess what? It came from the Middle Kingdom. What is the Middle Kingdom? 11, 12, and 13. This is so when we see these massive amount of people that leave Egypt, and they have found archaeological evidence of, number one, a village that has been abandoned. Second, in Avaris, they found, what's his name, Manfred Bitek.
BTEC,
He did
yeah.
he did the excavations at Avaris, and guess what he discovered? He discovered mass graves. I don't care what culture you are. If you have something in the effect of plagues or things of that nature, you're not going to do the ceremonial burials that almost most ancient people did. No, you're going to get rid of the bodies real quick. And that's what he found. But because of the conventional chronology that says that the Exodus, the 18th dynasty should be dated around the 13th century BCE, and then we look at the Exodus, the Bible timeline that says that the Exodus took place around 13th century BCE. Well, we don't see that evidence. But when Egypt's timeline is moved, I believe, forward, or no, back at least 300 years, then we have the 18th dynasty, as me and I forgot his name, who I was talking to earlier. As I pointed out to him, Amenhotep III, Amenhotep IV, Akhenaten, Tut, all of them would have been contemporaries with King David, which is 9th and 8th century BCE. So that's
you mean
why
moving forward 300 years.
Yeah, right around that.
Oh,
Yeah. So again,
okay.
it's like that chronology. That chronology is the issue, is the conventional chronology. I'm following the revised chronology by David Rowe, and I've put it to the test. I said, let me go and look and see if I see any other instances of where I see Hebrews. And that's where I found who was it? I think it was what's his name? Not Amenhotep. I can't think of his name, but the pharaoh was Thutmose, and he had a general, Duhidi. And what Duhidi did is went into the Levant, and 17th dynasty time period. He went into the Levant, and they did what we would call I think this is the early version of what we call the Trojan Horse War, where Thutmose sent his top general Duhidi to the Levant, and when he got to the Levant, he had the Egyptian soldiers placed in large jars and had them sealed, and acted as if he was giving it as a peace treaty, because he got tired of fighting. The war was starting to cost too much, and so he was like, okay, so we're gonna do this. So in the conversation with the king of the city, they had some drinks or whatever. Just look up Duhidi, and I forgot what's the name of the city. I can't think of the name of the city right now, but it's in the little Joppa. That's the name of the city. Look up Duhidi and Joppa whenever you get a chance. You will see a reference to who? The Hebrews, which tells me that using this timeline, the Hebrews are already in the Levant, although they are in a subjugated state, exactly as the Bible states, because when they got into the Levant a few years after that, they forgot about the Lord. So the people that they were supposed to conquer ended up subjugating them in the land that they were supposed to take. So what we see here during the 17th dynasty period, the Hebrews are living in the Levant, and they are acting as mercenaries and things of that nature, which takes us into Amenhotep III, Amenhotep IV, Akhenaten, and King Tut, and so far and so forth. So again, it's the timeline.
All right, Sankofa, you want to respond to that?
I can hold it. I know Brother Slim Reaper wanted to say something earlier. He said I didn't respond to his question. What was your question exactly?
Is that for me?
Is it anybody else up here named Slim Reaper?
I didn't hear him say Slim Reaper. But anyhow, when I asked earlier, I said what you gave when you were talking about history was you limited it to what we can find in archaeology, and you excluded written text. I wonder if you could give us a basis for doing that.
Okay, got you. The issue with like literature and information has to be confirmed by what is found, right? And so if we, like the brother is trying to say about this, you know, if we move the history 300 years, then it lines up. I've heard this, I haven't looked into it, but even then I would have to say, then what about the Babylonian conquest? What about the Assyrian conquest? What about the Persian conquest? Because then that moves all of those other histories around at the same time. And so, well, I'm just saying, but that's what I haven't looked into what you're saying, but what I'm, yes, it does, brother. Yes, it does. But anyway, so the Bible in and of itself is an evolving document, right? So the conversation, like no one has addressed the Mesopotamian story and the similarities between the Mesopotamian story and the Noah story, right?
I'm just trying to get an answer to the question.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to say is literature is influenced. Literature can be influenced and changes over the course of time, and it has to be backed up. When you're trying to get an understanding on what happened in history, you have to have multiple sources of backing it up, including archaeology, to back up any liturgical story. Not liturgical. That's singing. Any story based in literature.
Not singing.
So that a liturgy is not singing.
Well, a liturgy is, but in that particular time.
I said liturgical, so I definitely corrected myself.
Liturgical doesn't.
Liturgical.
Mean go ahead. Liturgical doesn't mean singing, but go ahead.
It does mean singing, brother.
Okay.
So, but you have to back the stories up with evidence that happened at the same time. Like this is the argument that Sumeria is older than Kemet. You know, because then you have people that are presenting archaeological evidence that says one thing versus another. Kemet would say it's older than Sumeria. Sumeria was. Why is your head bouncing so hard?
Because this is called the fallacy of irrelevant thesis. This is not my question. I'm asking when your method for doing history is basically to say that it's not the written text, but history is actually done primarily by the written text. There are historically auxiliary sciences that are used in history, and that could be anything. That could be any of the sciences that could be used in telling the story of history. But history is done primarily by written text, and you've made history out to be, and this is why I'm asking about your methodology. When you turn it into, well, archaeology, we don't have anything from archaeology. I've already shown that archaeology is incomplete, and I don't care what area you're talking about, archaeology is incomplete. You admitted something here, and I don't think you picked up the irony of it. You talked about there being tens of millions of our ancestors here, and you talked about only hundreds of our ancestors being able to be confirmed in whatever way you put that sort of thing. You talk about tens of millions. You're talking about something that's greater than the number of people you're talking about leaving from Avaris. And then you talk about, but that super small number. And then I read from the numerous issues that come with archaeology. But every time someone says something like this, they're not actually doing history. They're talking about they're basically saying that, well, you could have some over here, but if it's not confirmed by some auxiliary science, then, then that. But that's not the historical criteria. And that's what I'm asking you. So I'm asking you to substantiate your criteria because it's the basis by which everything else stands. So if you could just
brother, if you don't like my answer, that's on you. That's the way I come up with my history. Looking at the Bible, looking at how it's false, looking at how it's made up, looking at how it's taking stories from other people, looking at how it's rewritten, looking at how things don't, one thing doesn't confirm with another thing, looking at the New Testament and how it's agreed upon by different councils in different states and different books and different canons and different Bibles, different codexes, different Sinaiticus with different books in it. And then looking at the Apocrypha and books that are left out, and then looking at different things, I'm saying that the Bible in and of itself is an agreed upon political, social, spiritual text that the rulers are using in order to situate people in space and time. It is an agreed upon literature. Literature, it's literature in and of itself. It has historical elements, like the Hezekiah piece, you know, is like the one thing that people always bring up in reference in talking about its historical relevance. You know, the conquest of, I mean, there is, you know, we can validate, you know, Ezra and Nehemiah, the Ezra and Nehemiah story, you know, and how I think it was the Persians that are the Assyrians that sent Ezra and Nehemiah back, or the Persians, that was the Persians that did that. But there are some elements in it that's mixed in. So it's literature mixed in with history, but it's literature. We have to be able to validate that through archaeology, through what we find. Archaeology is a story about is artifacts that people leave behind, but we do have to validate it, because as literature, the Bible in and of itself is unreliable. We can see evidence of internal contradictions as well as outside influences in composing its stories.
Okay. So this time, let's turn back to the question. So your way of doing history is basically to say that if we have written documents, even multiple written documents that confirm a story, unless we can find something in an auxiliary science, it's not historical.
Brother Slim Reaper, what do you think about the Noah story and the Sumerian story being one and the same?
Well, here's what I would say. I would say that no serious scholar thinks that it's copied. But that what you actually have is and there's hundreds of these stories confirming and telling of the same event, and there's like 800, like there's an entire website, and I think there's like over 800 of these stories compiled. Now that to me doesn't seem to suggest that the event itself didn't happen, but what you can have is you can have a historical event taking place and in multiple iterations of that. Just like if it was any court case, there was any witnesses who were attesting to some event taking place in times past. Now apparently you think if most people tell the same story, that means all the stories are made up. I don't know how you arrive at that conclusion, but it's not the one that I think is reasonable. So here's also what I would say. That's also irrelevant to the question. If you have your view, which is basically that unless I have some archaeology to go to it, then it's not historical. I'm telling you that's not doing history. Most of history, and most people have ever existed and lived in history, and for most historical events, there is no archaeological footprint. Like, let me ask you a question. Did Caesar make an attack on Rome?
See, this is the importance of archaeology.
I just want a yes or no.
Because
did Caesar make an attack on? Matter of fact, let me ask you this.
No. Answer your own question, make your point, and then let the conversation flow.
Okay, no. The way
because you do this thing where you try to pigeonhole people into questions. Why don't you just make your point, and then let's have a conversation based on your point?
Well, it's called the Elenchus, and it's an entire method. And so what I'm doing is I'm testing you.
And then I'm breaking that in half and telling you to make your point so we can have a conversation.
You're not breaking it in half. What you're doing is you're being rude.
I'm telling you to make your point, brother.
You're being rude.
Make your point. Yes. I'm matching energy for energy.
So you haven't matched energy, because I sat there and listened to you ramble several times for several minutes on at a time and didn't answer the question even once. So did Caesar cross the Rubicon? It's an archaeological event. I mean, this is a historical event that historians accept as history. Did Caesar cross the Rubicon? Now, you notice he won't answer the question. And the reason is because if you try to test his theory by asking about concrete historical events, things that most historians take as historical, using the historical method, you're going to find that you don't have actual archaeology for that particular event. Now, you might have archaeology for the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, but you're not going to have archaeological footprint that Titus came into the Levant on a ship. Why? So again, you're going to have most events take place in history don't have an archaeological footprint. When you sort of suggest that they do, otherwise you can't take it as history, then you don't have any history. You have very few events that you can record. He's not going to be able to substantiate that his great-grandmother had his grandmother by archaeology. There's going to be no archaeological record of his grandmother having his great-grandmother having his grandma. Or he's not going to have any archaeological footprint that he's descendants of slaves. But most of us would accept that. This sort of reading is a very cavalier reading. It's a logical issue. It's called the special pleading logical fallacy, because when he lays out this criteria, he then won't be able to consistently apply it. So I'm asking the question to show the folly of it. I'm reducing his argument to absurdity. So if you're going to posit that what we need is not stories, right? You can't substantiate most slavery in America because you don't have archaeology for every single slave event. So if you say that, I'm just going to hold you to it. So if we were to take that same argument and apply it to something far more modern, something far less removed from us, if we go back to just the 1840s on back, right? You're not going to be able to establish that most of the people that you talked about, the tens of millions of people, were even slaves in the first place. Archaeology to confirm every single one of these things. So don't just say it. Let's make sure we can apply it. And what we're talking about here is something that's thousands of years beyond that. And you're talking about, well, why is there no archaeology for it? And you just talked about tens of millions of people enslaved here on this continent, and you admit that we don't have archaeology for it.
Thank you for presenting your point. That's why I didn't answer your question.
Oh, I know why
that technique people use is very irritating, because it's like, you have a point, get to your point so we can get to the real conversation.
I don't care about you.
So then, you know, in reference to like the whole, when you ask the question about Alexander conquering Rome, now
you weren't even listening. I didn't ask that question.
When you said Rome, besides you said one was conquering Rome, the other was, you know, crossing the Rubicon.
So you're gonna need to get history together. When did Alexander conquer Rome?
If you didn't ask that question, then there's no use in me going there.
Exactly.
Are you asking the question? All right.
I didn't ask anything.
But let's now. But then, so here's the thing: we have to let's even look at your Caesar crossing the Rubicon, like it being literature. It being literature, we would have to confirm it through some way. Otherwise, we would just accept it as a story. And see, stories have the ability to control people's lives. So then, when we're trying to figure out whether or not something existed, you know, whether or not this is true, or whether or not we should order and structure our lives behind this story that we deem as true, we need to be able to validate, you know, the things that occurred in history with its story. But then when we go back in history and we see that other things have occurred, that this is an evolving text. The text in and of itself is an evolving text. And not only is it an evolving text, it's a text of a particular group of people. This is the Jewish, Israelite, Hebrew, mythological history that belongs to them. It's not ours. Like, for instance, there's the Samaritans. The Samaritans consider themselves different than the Hebrews, although both of them use the Pentateuch as their Bible, right? Nobody talks about the Samaritans nowadays because they're kind of thought of as like some people that existed in time and space that don't exist now. But we have 900 to 1,000 Samaritans that exist in Israel today. But they're not part of the dominant Jewish conversation because they didn't align themselves, and their history wasn't aligned with the Roman Empire. And the only reason we're having this conversation right now, is because the particular Jewish history that aligned itself with the Roman Empire took over was the Jews that separated themselves from the Samaritans. You know, when they had their whole little separation about which mountain, is it Mount Gerbal or Mount Zion, is the one that's sacred and holy. Okay. You know, that's the only reason we're having this conversation right now. But we have to validate. We have to validate literature. We have to validate the stories with history. Otherwise, we're just listening to people tell something, and we fall for the trap of what they. We fall for not necessarily the trap. We fall for the stories. It's the same method that you have to use to validate the Nation of Islam story and Yaqub. It's the same method you would have to use to validate the Anunnaki and Dr. Malachi Z. York's work. It's the same method you would have to use to validate anybody's work. When someone comes and tells you a story about what happened in history, and then they make it sound good by connecting points, but you can't back that up with evidence, then it's just a story. Okay. Likewise, the Bible in and of itself is just a story. Now I'm done, brother, so go ahead and interject.
Okay, so again, I just want to say most of what you said, DMG, I'm going to
subscribe now.
Most of what you said is just rambling. That's not actually, one, it's not an answer to my question about the historical method. And again, history is done primarily with written text. You have auxiliary sciences of history, which are used in the search of history, but it's primarily done with written text. There's a historical criteria and historical method. There's multiple of them, but they depend on written text primarily. when, again, I'm gonna ask you the question. Do you take as true that Caesar crossed the Rubicon?
It's a story that they tell, brother.
I just want to know, did he cross the Rubicon?
I said it's a story that they tell.
Well, that's not a yes or no. Did it happen?
It's the way in which I perceive it, brother.
Okay, so now listen. Now watch this. Now don't interrupt. I just want to say this. Now, again, I just asked a brother a very basic question about a historical event that historians take as historical. And they take this as historical not on the basis that you can dig up hoof prints that say Julius Caesar on them. Or the Julio-Claudian dynasty or anything like that. There's not hoof prints to say that with a stamp and a date and 75 eyewitnesses who testified that such a thing took place. That's not how that's done. Or nor did they dig up and find video of it happening. They did so on the basis of written documents. Most of history is going to disappear if this brother's ridiculous historical method is accepted. If he believes Caesar crossed the Rubicon, or I don't know, was Caesar killed by Brutus and the Senate? Was he stabbed to death?
This is your complete method of conversation, isn't it? Make your point.
Yes, it's called the Elenchus. It's my
good.
My method.
Good. Make your point.
Yeah. So here's my point. You don't know what you're talking about. If you are going to get on and present things as history, you're going to need to use a historical method. If you're going to come in with revisionist means of doing history, then it's kind of funny that you would then turn and talk about revisionist history. You're not even doing history. You're doing a revisionist method of history altogether. There's a way to do history. There's a way to do it. And it's certainly not the way you're doing it. You don't know what you're talking about, and everybody should ignore you. You won't even answer questions about historical events that historians accept as historical. You won't even tell us if Caesar crossed the Rubicon. As a matter of fact, give me historical evidence that your family descended from slaves. Show me your ancestors' bones in the ground directly.
So what you're observing is my take. I'm not answering the questions, and I said that's the story they tell. See, this brother here, the brother that presented the evidence that or not evidence, but the theory that if you move the date 300 years, you have something different. Is he still on? Is this?
He's not on.
No, he had to go.
Right. I didn't discount that, although it goes against what's known. I'll go and research it to see if there's any merit to it. That's what I do. Now, as far as all of these stories and stuff that people come up with, I research it to see if there's any merit to it, instead of either accepting it or discounting it. I listen to it, hear it, and then try to validate it. Now, if it cannot be validated through research and through any literature that's being read, then I have to either chop it up as some person's theory, a person's theory, or just myth in general. And I think that's an appropriate way. I think that's a healthy way of definitely approaching many of the theologies that are within the Black community. Because you can run across the Nation of Islam, you can run across the 5% Nation, you can run across the Hebrew Israelites, you can run across the Malachi Z. York brothers and sisters, and they all will come with different historical evidence or stories and literature saying this is what happened. So can we validate it? Right now, you have the brothers and sisters that are saying they're the original Indians. What is your evidence to make these statements? What are you going off of? And let's look at your logic. That is my approach. Like your ad hominem attacks and you're attacking on my personal character. That doesn't mean anything, because nonetheless, you should still research. You should still research and then read in order to validate anything anybody tells you. Because if you don't, you just go ahead and believe. And what you're advocating is just belief versus validation of historical research or validation of historical events. I think brothers and sisters should read what is going on and validate what they are being told. I think you should research what's being told by the evidence that's available. And the only way to validate anything in the Bible is through archaeology, because it's supposed to be an archaeological text saying this is what happened in history.
Yeah, I have a question. So I have this book right here. It's called American Slavery as It Is. It's a reprint, just like I have this the classic slave narrative. But this one is a pretty powerful one. I gave a presentation a couple years back, and I read the story of an 8-year-old girl There was a lawyer who was sitting in his home, and he heard rustling outside of his window. This is during slave time, allegedly, because we ain't got an archaeology for it. But he heard rustling outside of his window, and when he went to look outside, there was about an 8-year-old girl who was underneath his window hiding out. He reports that the skin had been beaten clean off her legs, and that she had been beaten down to her bones. She was so dehydrated that her lips were stuck above her teeth. He basically details the horrors. There's actually an entire chapter here of those sorts of things. It's actually called cruelties. It's in the section called cruelties here. Basically, you can read all of these things. These are published writings and things like that. Again, American Slavery as It Is. Wonderful book. I recommend it. This gentleman details the story of this slave girl. And I guess I would just wonder, based on your criteria, this story and all of the ones that were in there, these are myths, correct?
How did he gather his evidence?
Well, he looked outside and then he saw it according to what he reported. But what I have here, I have his report that's in this written thing. I don't have any archaeology for it. And I'm just wondering, do you believe that the stories contained here that lack an archaeological footprint, that these are myths? Yes or no?
Now, one of the things that those people who no, man, it's not a yes or no question, bro.
All right.
Everything has. I mean, you have to have a conversation. It's not a yes or no. Is it a myth?
Yes or no?
I'm asking you. Is it a myth? Is it a mythological or historical book?
So again,
it a mythological or historical book? It's a yes or no question. It's a yes or no question.
He asked you a yes or no question.
I know, but he's trying to put context behind it, and that's how you have a conversation.
No, I'm not putting.
I'm okay with that.
Slim Reaper holding his own. He got his own.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Okay, but listen, I asked you, was this a myth or not? And now listen, and I reject the premise that there's some disconnect between myth and history, because that's not, when scholars and specialists use the term myth, that's not what they mean. This is what you mean when you said. But so I reject the premise. Now, if we're going to use a scholarly definition of myth, which basically just means that God was invoked or the supernatural was invoked, then I would say that the biblical text is mythological in that sense. But that doesn't mean false or not historical. That's the way you're using it. So when you ask that, you're drawing a dichotomy. But I'm asking you a very simple point. Based on how you're defining myth, are the stories contained in here, because they lack an archaeological footprint, we cannot confirm these things with archaeology, are these things mythical? The stories of our ancestors who went through slavery here in this country, traumatic. They were being farmed, raped, bred for children. There was a story told. We ain't got no archaeology for it. Slavery was so bad for her that she fled to Canada, and then when they showed up there in Canada, she was pregnant, and she had two children. When they showed up there to come retrieve her from Canada, she beheaded both of her children because she thought that it was better than to send them to send them to slavery. And then after she was taken to jail and she was in court, we have this only written document. She was taken to court, and then they told her basically she wasn't guilty, for the simple fact that her children weren't considered persons. So afterwards, she was put on a ferry and being sent back to her master. That now the child she was pregnant with, the child was, I don't know, I think a couple months old. She took the child and threw it into alligator-infested waters and said that it would be better for that child to die there than to be in slavery. I have no archaeology to show that happened. I'm asking you.
Wait, but you said we have court documents of her trial.
Yes, these are written documents, correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's archaeological evidence, man.
You know what? You're right. That's archaeology. I don't. You know what?
What? Hey, Leandre.
Wait. Time out. Wait. Oh, sorry, brother DMG.
Oh, no. You good, bro? I was just about to say we're gonna get out of here, man. It's been 2.5 hours, and I signed up for something I shouldn't have that I got to do early in the morning. But Leandre, close out. Then I want Brother Sankofa to close out. I emailed you too, brother, to see if we can do something. Yeah. And then I'm gonna have nobody close out.
Yeah. Don't do it. I'm Leandre. I'm out.
Nah, man. You look. You got to give all the idioms, man. Slim Reaper, AK Dre, Mr. Logic. You just gonna throw Leandre out there. I'm wasting my time coming up with all these nicknames.
Leandre, AK the Slim Reaper, AK Mr. Logic, AKA Professor Dre Ogilvy. AKA Vic Damone Jr. Vic Damone Jr. But thank y'all for watching. Enjoyed it. Hey, I'm sorry.
Peace, my brother. Nobody from Trust and Believe the Gospel. Close us out, man. Talk about what you got coming up with Lord Benu, the shepherd of Omeka.
If everything is still on, man, y'all tune in next week. I got a debate coming up with Lloyd Benu. He's supposed to be presenting some evidence that the Bible copied from other religions. You know, the same old ancient argument that have already been disproved time and time again. So ain't nothing different gonna happen next week when we show up. Yeah, man, y'all already know me. I go by the name of Nobody. I always trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody, and that is Jesus the Christ.
Brother Cosmic Sankofa, close out for us, bro. I'm over the moon that you jumped on, bro. So yeah, close us out. I got something I got to close with that's kind of heavy. So do your thing.
Yeah, nothing great, brother. Just read and research. Read and research. That would be it.
All right. We definitely hope you come back, bro. I want to say rest in peace to Antoinette Bonnie. She went by Bonnie, but her name was Antoinette Candia Bailey. She was vice president of student affairs at Lincoln University of Missouri. It's a historically Black university here in Missouri in Jefferson City. And she was a sister. She died on January 8th. She took her own life. I believe she was let go from Lincoln on January 3rd. And, she had some allegations against her, like helping students who hadn't been reinstated and things like that was some things that should have been reserved for instated students. But anytime a sister lose her livelihood for helping or potentially helping a kid or a student, and then that the weight of that causes her to take her own life, that just it just hit me a little different. So I want to say rest in peace to her. Thoughts and prayers to her family and those who have her on their heart. Most importantly, the students whose lives she affected. So this has been Paradigm Shift TV 314. It's your brother DMG, aka Brother Pianki. And we are out. That's peace. We'll be back at it again, family. Appreciate y'all watching.